Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, there's 8:32 now. Sorry, a couple of minutes late. But welcome to the hybrid meeting of the Leisure and Community Services Committee. Can I ask everyone to please mute their microphones at all time unless invited to speak by myself? So can I now ask the ICT to please confirm that we have begun live streaming? Thank you. So agenda item 1 is apologies, and I haven't received any apologies. Any apologies from the floor? No? Okay, and
Sorry,
Councillor Hawking.
Sorry, my button wouldn't work to indicate. Sorry about that, Chair. Councillor Jacqueline Donnelly, please.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's noted. Is your button not working then, Councillor Hawking?
I think it was maybe more of a case I couldn't find it.
Oh, right, okay. Just so that I need to keep a wee eye on the screen a wee bit more, because I'll watch up the side, for the hands being raised. But if you're having an issue, can you drop a message to somebody so that if you want to come in, that we know. Okay, so agenda item 2, declarations of interest. But as usual, if you want to let me know as we're going through the different items. So straight on to now, agenda item 3, and we're going to take this out of sequence a bit. And we're going to start off with item 3.5, the presentation from Incredible. And we have Nigel Hampton in with us tonight to share with us some of the incredible work that they're doing. So if you want to go ahead, Nigel.
Okay, thank you everyone, and thank you very much for the invite to present to you all this evening. As the Chair said, my name is Nigel Hampton. I'm the Director of Incredible, and with me this evening is our Vice Chair in the back of the room, Alan Turtle, who is the Vice Chair of our Board of Trustees. Firstly, can I say that we're absolutely delighted to present to Leisure and Community Services and the key achievements and successes of the organisation since the contract award at Southlake in the autumn of 2020. So I'm going to skip through a presentation here in terms of just recapping on our mission and vision as an organisation. Our mission is to create incredible opportunities for incredible people, and that is by delivering quality projects and services for individuals with a learning disability and autism across the Southern Health and Social Care Trust area. Our vision is a society where individuals with a learning or intellectual disability and or autism are supported, valued and included. So we talk about being on an incredible journey with over 600 children and adults with a learning disability and autism throughout the Southern Health and Social Care Trust area. And we have a diverse portfolio of projects and services across the trust area. So there's over 110 residentials per annum, and those are for groups of individuals with learning disability and autism. There are day outings for children. There's 3 youth clubs in the area. We have individual support programs, holiday and camping trips, now 3 cafes, and the development of various trading initiatives or incredibly made products if you follow us on social media and things like that, and much more. So I had a video embedded in the presentation, but I'm going to skip over it because I think the technology is not going to allow us to show this evening. But it was actually a video last month that was recorded by the BBC as part of the Children in Need Appeal, where we had one of our groups of children with learning disability and autism sliding down the slopes of the golf and ski centre with Pudsey. So I don't know whether any of you saw that, but what I'll do is I'll circulate that after the meeting to elected members because it does really set into context the work of our organisation and what we're about as an organisation and the impact of the organisation. So I'm going to talk mostly about Cafe Incredible this evening. Cafe Incredible is a social enterprise that facilitates training, employment and meaningful daytime activity for individuals with a learning or intellectual disability and autism. And as I said, 3 cafes. The first of which was in the Jethro Centre, which opened in February 2018. Then South Lake in November 2020, and most recently in Banbridge Leisure Centre, which opened last month. So where did all of this begin? I suppose I want to take somebody back, and somebody will remember it, back to the summer of 2016. 180, which was based in Portadown, was a social enterprise and training facility for individuals with learning disability and autism that was based in Mandeville Street. It was in the local and regional media headlines at that point about its imminent closure, and that's when really Incredible got involved. I was approached by Derek Brown at that point, who was working with the council on the social enterprise programme at the time, and the council, along with several other statutory agencies, came together to support the enterprise and prevent closure. So in March 2017, we took over responsibility for 180, retained it as a subsidiary of Incredible, but ultimately, retaining its own company and charitable status. We then set about a process of turning things around and improving, focusing on the training income and less on grant dependence. And this led us to the development of the second cafe in Lurgan. Both cafes were operating very successfully, and then COVID hit in March 2020, which ultimately led to the closure of 180 in August 2020. But I suppose I look at what we have now, and I suppose in comparison to what we have at South Lake, there's really no comparison to what we had in 180 in Mandeville Street. So, as I said, following that successful tender award in the autumn or over the summer period of 2020, we opened in South Lake in November 2020, and it has raised the profile of our organisation immensely, to the point where there's actually a misconception presently that we're trying to dispel, that we're only about catering provider. We're so much more than that, and as I've said, we have a vast array of other care respite work. So there've been many challenges to navigate over the last 2 years, particularly for the hospitality industry, and many of those will have been successfully navigated by our head of enterprises, Samantha McCartney. And I'm not sure whether Samantha has been able to join the meeting. I know she was intended to online. But I think if any of you, I know some of you will know Samantha personally, she has invested a lot and given a lot to South Lake in terms of getting that established and maintaining that over the last 2 years. So I'm not going to give you a blow-by-blow account, but I wanted to just give you a few highlights of things that have happened over the last 2 years. So sorry, I should have been moving these slides on. These are the 3 cafes for those of you that are unfamiliar. So that's Jethro, South Lake, and again, I look back to the photo of our launch in 2020 when we're all masked up and all the rest, and then most recently in Banbridge there. So number 3 stands for our 3rd cafe, in case you're wondering. So synergies with the council. I think I look back to actually last autumn time where we had a live broadcast, also as part of Children in Need, and BBC Radio Ulster came down, Connor Phillips and Holly Hamilton came down, and we had a live broadcast as well as a fundraising. We did our own fundraising initiative in South Lake, where we borrowed some of the spin bikes from the gym. I suppose one of the other important initiatives that we've been able to implement in both our cafes, or all of the cafes, is a suspended coffee. Again, for those of you that are unfamiliar with that, it's basically a network of cafes across the world that are part of this movement, where you walk into a supporting coffee shop or cafe, and instead of just buying 1 cup of coffee, you buy 2 or more. Then whoever's serving you logs the second coffee as suspended, and it can be redeemed at any time by someone who needs it. So that has been really, really successful. And in addition to that, back in March 2020, we also provided £105 gift vouchers that were distributed through Craigavon Food Bank and St Vincent de Paul, and that was supported through the Community Plan and Tech 500 initiative. I suppose one of the big achievements for us that I feel very proud that we had an involvement when was actually servicing the hospitality needs of the NHS when they were delivering vaccinations at South Lake. And it was, I suppose, it was a time where we were under immense pressure as an entire organisation. There was a lot of shifting landscapes at that point, but we very much felt that it was something that we wanted to do, and it actually led us, I think, if members can remember, back at a time where we ended up suspending cafe operations in South Lake and concentrating on the NHS because of the levels of COVID in the community. At that point, we felt it appropriate to suspend operations and concentrate solely on the NHS. So I suppose, I'm sure members are glad I didn't want, as I was thinking back to the time, I didn't want to be on BBC Newsline for any reason, trying to justify why we were open to the public and trying to service the NHS at the same time. So I think we made the right call in that eventuality, and it was the right thing to do. Just covering off trainee numbers and where we're at presently across the cafes. Across the 3 cafes, there's 44 people employed. 13 of those employees have learning disability or autism. A further 12 are engaged in training or volunteering capacity. And I suppose that's another misconception that we're trying to dispel. That many people think that the people behind the counter with learning disability or autism are all there on a voluntary basis, and that is simply not the case. Those individuals, 13 individuals, are on the payroll of the organisation, and it is, I suppose, setting that into the wider context of the organisation. And I know this is some of your colleagues in economic development may be interested, but we're a reasonably significant employer across the borough now, with over 85 staff in total on our payroll. So just wanted to show you some of those people that we talk about, incredible people with learning disability and autism in our cafes. This is Isaac, Jay, Philip, Jordan, Danielle and Jill, and Evan. So hopefully you will get the opportunity to meet them if you're frequenting any of the establishments. I suppose next, moving on to our why, we have 2 purposes. I suppose the overarching purpose is being to facilitate training, employment and meaningful daytime activity for individuals with learning disability and autism. But the second purpose is also to generate profits to support the work of Incredible. And it's a piece of research that was done by the Ulster University's Economic Policy Unit that was published back in August. And it highlights that individuals with disabilities in Northern Ireland have the lowest rate of employment in the UK. Just over a third of people in Northern Ireland are in work, compared with over half of the rest of the UK. It also found that 1 in 3 young people aged 16 to 24 was not in education, employment or training. And a young person is almost 5 times more likely to be in need or not in education, employment or training than a non-disabled person. Disabled people in work are also likely to earn less and be in less secure employment, and failure to address the barriers to work that disabled people face is a failure to recognise the contribution that disabled people make and represent as an opportunity cost to Northern Ireland's economy and society. The report's authors concluded that Northern Ireland should try to match UK's disability employment rate over the next decade, and this would mean that over half of people in Northern Ireland would be in work by 2031. The authors said the target would lead to fewer people in poverty, would add an additional 1.3 billion to the Northern Ireland economy, and lead to savings of over 4 million from the public purse. So again, that's what we're not going to tackle all of that, but it's what we're trying to contribute towards and obviously increase the employment rates of people with disabilities. I'm going to skip another video. There's another video embedded in that presentation of Ben, and again, I will share that with members. But it just, I suppose, coming from a young person with autism who has, been in employment actually right throughout the pandemic, really from day one, and the impact of what employment at South Lake has meant to him. So again, I will share that with elected members afterwards. Just thought it was important to also tell members the kind of feedback that we have. We have, a strong social media presence for the cafes. The cafes have over 4,500 Facebook followers and 1.2 thousand Instagram followers. As many of you will know, hospitality is one of the markets that if quality of food or service is poor, people will readily tell you and jump on social media to do so. So we're proud to have maintained the levels that we have. So 139 reviews on Google My Business, 47 reviews on Facebook, and a 4.9 star rating there. Just, I suppose, some of the menu options. Again, given that the cafes are in a leisure centre, we have tailored menus to attract those seeking healthier options. Overnight oats on the left-hand side, there are healthier salads and healthy protein, just to name a few. And, you know, I suppose some of the other things that we are involved with, or we've collaborated with Clearwater, which is a social enterprise based in Larne. And they have recently launched the product Why Hydrate, and we are Southlake is now one of 3 locations in Northern Ireland that stock their high protein water in one of the vent machines, and this is proven very popular with gym goers. So I suppose this leads me on briefly to talk about our supply chain. You know, we try our utmost to buy local and or social when in terms of our supply chain. All 3 of our cafes are supplied by coffee from Rossetto and Banbridge. Fruit and veg comes from a supplier in Bleary. Bread products from Portadown. I suppose I just wanted to, again, that's just a slide of the menu, and I'm sure many of you have frequented to sample the produce. Again, just talking very briefly about awards. Over the last number of years, we have been successful in receiving some recognition for the successes, and these have included the ABC Council Awards back in June 2019. Social Enterprise NI, Samantha McCartney received the Social Enterprise Employee of the Year. The Incredible was also named highly commended runner-up in the Social Enterprise category of the year that year in 2019. Then we received a number of CO3, which is Chief Officers of the Third Sector Awards in December 2020. And then just this year, we won the Best Social Enterprise Award at the ABC Council Business Awards in February, and then did, I suppose, the double, as they say, in that we picked up an Innovation Award at the Community Awards back in March. So I just wanted, I suppose, to conclude with kind of future developments. I suppose our ambition is we are ambitious and want to grow further and impact the lives of more people, particularly with people with learning disability and autism. We want to continue to grow the number of opportunities that we deliver across the borough and the greater trust area. We're looking at, I suppose, a number of initiatives presently, which would include reused clothing and, as I've already mentioned, then the further development of our Incredibly Made, which is chocolate products, which is based from our Richhill HQ. I suppose before I ask members maybe for questions, I suppose I want to put on record a number of thanks to council officers and councillors for all those on this committee who chose to seek a social enterprise operator for the cafes at Southlake and Banbridge. I want to thank you for your input and discernment. We certainly hope that you feel that you've made the right decision in doing that, and you know, I very much want to build on the relationship that we have with the council and to look for other opportunities for us to collaborate. I would like to see more opportunities for the council to use social value in their procurement processes, whether they're delivered by us or whether they're other social enterprise operators. Also want to say thanks to the staff management in Southlake, and in particular Paul Coleman and Kieran Mullen. I know Paul's not able to be with us this evening, but Paul and Samantha have developed an excellent working relationship and have navigated many of the challenges of the last 2 years well. And I believe this has led to a lot of mutually beneficial outcomes for the council and for ourselves. And I also want to thank Kieran Mullen, the head of leisure marketing, for what he has done in helping to raise our profile as an organisation. I know there's probably sometimes that we never seem to be off social media, so I want to thank, and lastly, kind of thank the chief executive in terms of someone who has believed in us as an organisation and a supporter of the work for many years, And I hope he can use this example as a case study or a model of good practice with other councils and statutory agencies. So I will leave my presentation. I probably ran on, Chair, but apologies. So if I had the videos, I probably would have ran on much longer, but I'm happy to take questions if members have questions.
Thank you so much, Nigel. And I'll let Vice Chair and Councillor McAlinton first here.
Okay, thank you, Chair, and thanks, Nigel, for the presentation. And first of all, as a regular visitor to South Lake and Cafe, incredible. I want to commend you and your team for all the work, especially over the 2 years of COVID, great work with the NHS. Just find that your work is very friendly and very helpful, and the service is first class. So well done to all your team. Thank you.
And just online, I'll bring in Councillor Flaherty.
Thank you very much, Chair, for letting me in there, and thank you, Nigel, for that. And can you do me a favour and pass my best wishes on to Samantha? She does, as you say, just an incredible, incredible job. And truthfully, as you say, she has invested so much of herself into all that you do. And we're incredibly proud of her. She's just a lovely, hardworking lady. She works so well with the children. And look, Nigel, I'm sure by now, I could sing your praises all night. And I see my wee Danielle, some of my girls are on your slides, and it's lovely to see them and see them being praised for the work that they do and the work that you give, that you allow them to take ownership of. I think it's the really important thing to me. You really are incredible people, Nigel, and presentations like this are so important for this committee because it is, I'm saying incredible a whole lot. I'm not doing this on purpose for you, Nigel, but it is incredibly important that people really know the extent of what you do. You know I'm a regular visitor. I hope you know that I will support you no matter what you do. I haven't been to Banbridge yet. I'm not quite back on the road fully, but we'll get there. We'll get there soon. Thank you very much for the presentation, and thank you for everything you do for our children and young people.
Thank you, Councillor Flaherty. Councillor Wilson, next.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. Yes, it's not really a question. It's just to congratulate yourself, Nigel, and your team on the fantastic work to do. And just on your logo there, inspire, empower, and include, probably 3 very apt words for what you do. As a Banbridge councillor, it's great to see you in Banbridge Leisure Centre, and just wish you every success in the future and going on from strength to strength. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Councillor Tinsley, you had your hand up next.
Thank you, Chair. And Nigel, again, like everyone else, I just want to congratulate you for the vision that you had originally. And we were all so saddened to see 180 closing, and to see now what good has come is just such marvellous for you as an enterprise. I know it has been said before, but it doesn't do any harm to say it again, that Samantha is a fantastic lady. Her dedication and enthusiasm is very clear to anyone that comes to visit. You have lovely staff and you have great food, and you know that whole, any other restaurant would just love to have that combination. One thing that strikes me that I think is a fantastic initiative that you've introduced, that you touched on there, was that coffee initiative. I would just encourage other businesses to consider an offering this out. It doesn't cost a business anything to do that. In fact, it actually encourages extra business, I think. I was in a shop last week where I witnessed a child come in and it was 55p short of its lunch money. And one of the and it was addressed very, very quickly by the customers. But staff actually told me in that facility that they have on many occasions bought food for some of the school children that have come in and have been short, and they can't see them going without. And if that initiative was in place by local businesses, then that would actually help that because the staff actually have to cover that cost themselves, they were saying. So I think that would be a fantastic, and if maybe, I don't know whether we could maybe raise that actually at economic development tomorrow night, that if that could be rolled out or encouraged among other businesses. But you were the forefront of offering that, and I commend you for doing that, and for everything that you have been doing as an enterprise. Well done, and I wish you every blessing for the future years ahead. All the best.
Thank you, Councillor Tinsley. Alderman Spears.
Madam Chair, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak on this issue. Yes, I think it is literally incredible the work that takes place. I have been over in the leisure centre, maybe not as often as others, but I have enjoyed the food over there. But the issue that I want to speak on is the opportunity created for the young people that have allowed them in a very sensible way to capacity build and bring them on into what is a normal society and a normal part of life. I think that is the incredible work that is happening here. And in that context, I don't think that anyone in this council can thank you enough for the sense of commitment and dedication that happens in relation to that. I did read the figure sometime recently as regards the Northern Ireland's input in terms of employing disabled people or people that are less mobile or whatever. And I was pleased in that. And I've no doubt that there are many other opportunities across Northern Ireland that could develop from what you are doing to give these young people, and it is all mostly young people, giving them that opportunity to really capacity build for the future. And I just say I wish it well. And I think as a council, we have every right to be sort of proud that this project we're part of it and have been one of the key players in allowing it to happen or making it happen with yourselves. So a sincere word of thanks for the work you're doing, and any help that certainly I feel that we as a council can do, I think we should do it, because there's a lot of public money in many occasions that is maybe not evaluated, and the product or the end product is not as effective as what you do. And in that context, I think it's first class. And thank you and the team of your workers and all involved in this. And it's 100% incredible. Thank you and wish you well.
Thank you, Alderman Spears. And I think the next hand up was online, Councillor Hockian.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief. I just wanted to echo the comments that were made already tonight. I think it's a fair thing to say that it would be a rare occasion for there to be such agreement right across the political spectrum. But this particular topic and the work that's going on in Cafe Incredible deserves every bit of that. So I want to be associated with the comments made by my colleagues here in the council. I think that the quality of staff, the quality of food, the general vibe from the cafe is just fantastic. It would be remiss of me not to mention Sunday morning very early, being over there this week for netball trials with my daughter. And there was a girl called Jessica who I think she'd only started maybe a week or two. And she was so pleasant, so kind, so helpful. It just summed it up for me every time. And sometimes I'm not over the moon about it, but there's so many times I'm over there for swimming lessons with the kids and everything else. But it's great to even get down, get a cup of coffee, sit and enjoy the atmosphere. And I think it's just fantastic, the project that you're doing. And while you did say thanks to all the officers, and I would agree with that, I think we're actually the fortunate ones as well to be associated with the work that's going on. I think it's a bright light for us in terms of what we provide in the borough, and it's great to see it expanding. For you to take tonight to actually show us where you were, even in Portadown, how things didn't work out because of COVID, but to go from Jethro in 2018 to where we are now, and no doubt it'll continue to just improve and get better. So, and I think as well, Alderman Spears touched on this, the figures around the employment rate for disabled people in the north being so low, that doesn't, so often we look to the executive or Stormont or other government bodies to try and resolve this. That didn't happen. You have done this. You have tackled this issue here at this level. And if more people were to do that across the north, then I'm sure we wouldn't be seeing headlines like that. So look, I just wanted to be associated with our marks, and certainly something we are very, very much looking forward to working with you in the future. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hockian and Alderman Twyble. You're next.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair. And really, I just wanted to share in the commendations that have been already offered to Incredible, and say that my support for them actually went back to the days of Mandeville Street 180. And I remember being on the wee committee at that stage that started the whole process. And unfortunately, it got into a little bit of difficulty at one stage, and it had to bow out because of those difficulties. So it was really wonderful to see the whole company emerging again and doing such an amazing job with the young people involved, and serving the community in a way that again is so commendable. Lots of times I pop in and bring people in, and I'm always only too happy to offer them a coffee or a tea or a bite from the serving hatch, let's say. So really, it's the delight to see the progress and the work that has been done, and I'm really delighted on a personal basis as well as part of council. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Twyble. And Councillor Mahalath, you've held on for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Nigel and Alan, for coming in tonight. Appreciate the briefing and the update. And listen, I'm going to be very brief, just echo comments that others have made, doing a fantastic job from humble beginnings to what you're doing now for this council is brilliant to see. One wee question, because you've got away lightly, nobody's asked you a question, so I'm gonna maybe ask a question, and listen, it's one that doesn't need to have to be answered tonight necessarily, but as someone who tries to step folk through the benefit system day and daily and help with form filling and so on, I get quite a lot of families coming to me where there are young people with learning difficulties and particularly autism. And quite often as part of that conversation and what we're doing is employment comes into it. And knowing what you do and what the organisation does, I suppose the question is, in terms of recruitment and so on, what's the best way for those families who have young people who are interested in employment but are really, really struggling to get in the job market? You know, what you're doing is unreal. I see it firsthand if I'm in Jethro or I'm in South Lakes, but I suppose the question is in terms of recruitment, and I don't need all the detail tonight, Nigel. Absolutely, we can talk, but that query comes to my desk sometimes, and you're the first people I think about. How do I get people referred to you, I suppose, is the question. And thank you again for tonight, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor McElrath. And do you want to come in?
Yeah, so I think I would respond by saying,
part of our mission is to grow the number of opportunities so that we're able to increase the number of employment opportunities, because I suppose what we're finding now is when people get into employment with us, they don't typically want to move on to anything else. They want to stay in that employment, and we have a finite number of positions. But equally, I suppose what we do have is when people make inquiries to us, we do keep a list of interested parties that we can email when positions come up. And what we can also do is then look at, that's for both paid employment and volunteer and placement opportunities as well. So I'm happy, I suppose, to make that response, but also follow up with you after the meeting in relation to how we can have that channel directly. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Michael Ross, and thank you, Nigel. And I can see Samantha is online as well. And I saw the wee clip of Ben, and I remember seeing Ben. Wasn't long after I was elected, and myself, Councillor Flaherty, and Emily Dugbeatty, we attended a graduation event in the Jethro Centre, and I remember Ben graduated that day, and I was just so impressed with the work that you do in finding gainful employment for these young people, and just seeing Ben, in South Lakes now. In gainful employment and employment, it's not just voluntary work. It's not just piecemeal. It's proper gainful employment for these young people who are getting as much out of life as we can offer them. So I know every time I see Samantha working away behind the counter in South Lake, it's just a buzz. And it's so impressive what you offer. So I'll just add my congratulations to the whole team, because I know there's not just a few of you. There's quite a team behind you. So just well done, and keep doing what you're doing. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're back now into our normal business. So if we could go back then to a decision item 3.1, Armagh, Banbridge and Craigavon Summer Scheme for Children with Disabilities, the All Stars programme. And Gillian, if you would like to take us through that. I think Gillian's online.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm here. Good evening, members. So item 3.1, Summer Scheme for Children with Disabilities. Members will be aware of the All Star Summer Scheme. The Trust have indicated that they'll be making an offer of a maximum of £10,000 to deliver a scheme in 2023. The recommendation is that members agree that the Strategic Director accepts the letter of offer when it's received. Thank you.
Thank you, Gillian. I think the first hand up there online was Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to come in and say that I support the recommendation. I have been speaking to families within the DEA though, and I understand the difficulties in the funding, and it's a much needed service. It's an invaluable service to the people in the borough. But I was just wondering, have officers ever considered any other areas to roll this summer scheme out?
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Gillian, do you want to come in to that question?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Member, for the question. The All-Star Summer Scheme is available to all children within the ABC Council area. Although it is based in Guildford and they have an activity day at South Lake Leisure Centre, but the scheme is open to all children. The referral point comes through the Southern Trust. So very happy to have a conversation with you to explain the process outside of the meeting, if that would be helpful.
Am I okay to come back in there, Chair?
Yes, I was just going to ask you. Yep.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, Gillian, thanks so much. No, I am actually aware of the process. It's just in terms of some of the families in the DA that have reached out to me that aren't able to attend because of the location, so they know that it is offered to them through their social services, but it's just the location. They just can't basically get transport for their kids to attend it. So that was all that I was just wondering if it would ever be like any additional services were added. So it could be the 3 weeks in Guildford and then any other venues throughout the borough.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Gillian?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Member, for the follow-up question. So I suppose it's probably a transport issue, and that's something that I'd be very happy to have a conversation with, to see if that, because if that's the barrier, so if we could provide the transport to the scheme, maybe that might be of assistance. So very happy to have a conversation with you.
Thank you, Gillian. Councillor O'Neill, could I just confirm, do you want to propose that?
Yeah, can I
said you supported
Sorry.
it?
Yeah. Thank you. And
that's
thank
okay,
you.
Sorry.
No, you're grand, don't worry. And Gillian, yeah, that'd be great. I'll pick that up with you offline then as well. Thanks so much, Chair.
Thank you. And I'll bring in Councillor Flaherty online as well.
Thank you very much, Chair. I will second this, third this. How many times, Gillian, that this needs to go through? This has to go through. Sign it with a gold pen. I don't care. Get this money and get more, as I say to you, every single year. Because look, I have to be honest, Chair and Gillian, in ways I agree with Councillor O'Neill. Nobody more than me would love to see this in every DEA, in every community centre in this borough. But unless we get a triple sum of that from the Southern Trust, you know and I know, Gillian, how much goes into running this scheme. The work that goes into this scheme, the specialist staff we have to get for this scheme, I would do it all summer. I would do it everywhere. And that's what we shall aim for, Gillian. Clearly, we'll be going looking some more money for this. So, look, I can't, I've said it to you 100 times, Gillian, the work that you girls do, or ladies do, sorry, and to go into this and to go into this fund, to get this funding is immense. How important this is for their families is immense. And it's just another one of those things on our list that is such a good thing that we do. We should be singing this from the rooftops. It would be great to expand it. I'm with you on this, but we have to work with what we have to work with here at the minute. So sign this, get the money, and then we'll work again for next year. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you, Councillor Flaherty. And I don't think there's a question on that. I think you were just fully supporting it. So if I could bring in Councillor Wilson in the chamber.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I don't know whether you need a second, or I think Councillor Flaherty already done that. But it's just to support this. There's our first two items tonight have been very positive items, which is great to see. And this support that's done through this scheme is invaluable for young people, and it's great to see it that we're going to be able to deliver that again. As I say, it's great that we have two very positive items for our first part of the committee tonight. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. And yes, it is good to start our meeting off tonight with two really good items. Councillor Flaherty, are you looking in again? Your hand's still up? Or have you just, no, that's okay. So we have a proposer and a seconder. Are we all in agreement? Yep. Okay, thank you. So moving on now to item 3.2, Building Sustainable Communities Funding Project, the Oxford Island Barge and the space. And Michael Ruddy is going to take us through this.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. So item 3.2, Building Sustainable Communities Funding Project for Oxford Island Barge and the play space. So officers have identified two facilities that, if revitalised, will enhance the current provision under the aims of the play strategy and the Building Sustainable Communities Bushcraft programme. And we will have the capability to extend to community use to support interventions around mental health, suicide awareness and addiction. So this collaborative approach to revitalise facilities in the vicinity of Waterside House, Oxford Island, will widen current provision and support the delivery of various projects that will benefit the neighbourhood renewal residents, not only from Brownlow, Lurgan and Port of Iron area, but also further afield. Bringing the barge and the play space up to standard is the focus of the application, so that these spaces become fully inclusive, giving everyone who engages in our programmes an all year round experience and a place where they can relax, develop and learn while having fun. So if successful, the application will be 100% funded, and it is recommended that members approve that an application for funding is submitted and any subsequent letter of offer is signed. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And go online. First hand up, Councillor Hockian.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Michael, for the presentation. I suppose there's two things I just wanted to say. Number one, I sit on the Neighbourhood Renewal Partnership for Lurgan, so I'll probably have to declare an interest on that. I'm not sure if I do. If I don't, I would be minded to propose it. I think it's an excellent project. I went down and visited the guys down there. I've talked about a bit about what work they're doing and what they could do, the vision for the future. But I don't think there's any conflict of interest. So if nobody's indicating that, then I'm more than happy to propose that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Hockian, but we're just thinking here at the top table, if it's okay, we appreciate your comments, but could we get somebody else just to propose it? But your comments
happy for that. Yeah.
Thanks for understanding, Councillor Hockian. So Councillor Flaherty, you had your hand up.
Yes,
You're a bit
Chair.
slow on the button tonight.
I know, I'm
Councillor
having a
Flaherty,
problem.
that's twice you've been beaten.
I'm having a problem with this button too tonight for some reason. Don't know what it is.
Do you want to come in now then?
Yeah, I will. Thank you. I think that's me. And yes, look, in the roundness of this, I'm happy to propose in the confusion there a wee bit, because we have to all keep ourselves right. It's great that this is 100% funding, Michael, because that's rare enough. There's great work that goes on. There's so much more potential that we have out there. Huge potential out there. I'm very mindful when I read the report that we'll have to be so very careful with these terms, inclusive and accessibility, particularly when I think back to some of the discussions that were had last month when there was a bit of confusion seemed to reign about what inclusivity meant. So can we just make sure we've got that nailed down, and perhaps some of the facilities out there, dare I mention the toilets out at Oxford Island and the Bushcraft place, that we can make sure that everything is in place for what the vision is there as part of this project. Otherwise, happy to propose.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Flaherty. Alderman Twybo.
Yes, again, I'm very happy to support this and second the proposal. It wasn't so long ago that there was an event, I can't even remember what it was, towards the tail end of the summer there, that I was down at Oxford Island and I was talking to some of the staff down there, and they showed me the barge, which I was very positive about at one stage, and the museum and so on down there, and the developments down there. And I was a wee bit disappointed at the time when the library and all the rest of it was moved to Armagh. So I'm delighted to see this effort being made for the area, and I'm fully in support of whatever we can achieve down in that part of the borough. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Twybo. And Councillor Tinsley.
Thank you, Chair. And just, I know it has been proposed and seconded, but it's just to also let you know that of our support of the application. Thank you. And could somebody turn the heat on? I feel as if I'm doing a sit out. It's freezing in here. Maybe I've...
It's okay. Sorry, I should have been quicker. Yes, thank you for your support, Councillor Tinsley. Councillor McAlinden.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And I suppose as a regular visitor to Oxford Island, I just want to welcome this as well, and I'll be associated with all the remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a proposer, Councillor Flaherty, and seconded by Alderman Twybo, and it sounds like we're all in agreement. So happy to accept that. So on now to agenda item 3.3, about the Lough Neagh partnership. Jonathan, could you take us through this, please?
Thank you, Chair. Members, the report before you tonight is in relation to a request that we have received from the Loughnane Partnership in relation to requesting to come to give committee a presentation in the January committee meeting. Members, there's some detail within the report for members' consideration, but happy to take any questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And Alderman Spears.
I'm happy enough with that. I just seek some clarity on some of this report. It makes reference in 3.3.1, the background to it, and the partnership is made up of elected representatives, landowners, fishermen, farmers, and local communities. Now, it talked about 2003. As I understand it, we don't appoint people to this. It hasn't been done at council because we took a decision, as I understand it, that there would be no appointments made. So anybody that's there, if they're an elected representative, they're not there as an elected representative. So I think that's all I'm saying about it. I'm not against us having representatives on it, but I think we do need to clarify that with them. And are other councils around the law represented collectively as a council? And if we are not, are we potentially shooting ourselves in the foot or whatever? I'm just seeking clarity on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Just to go back to Alderman Spears' question, yes, in relation to the current position is there's no elected representatives currently on, but back in 2003, there had been. Certainly in relation to the background and around our neighbouring councils, that can be part of the presentation by way of background that's delivered to committee in January.
Councillor McAlinden.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to declare that I am a member of the Loughnane Partnership as a social member. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McAlinden. Sorry, I should have brought you in first. So Alderman Spears, do you want to propose this? Sorry, Alderman Spears, we could just ask you, I'll put the microphone on and then you could say it. So I'm just asking for the record, are you happy to propose?
Happy to propose. Very happy. Okay, happy to propose. This belated switch over sometimes.
Thank you, Alderman Spears, for your indulgence. Councillor McNeill will have a proposal.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you for letting me in, Chair. Just to clarify, is Alderman Spears, is he proposing for this presentation, or is he proposing that we look at maybe getting elected representatives onto that? So, and right, well, I'm happy to second that motion here tonight. Thank you.
Hold on a wee second. I'll bring you in again now.
My proposal is that we have Loughnane Partnership along next month and we seek clarity from them as regards other councils being represented and us not, or vice versa. That's all. And then we can decide ourselves what we do. But let them hear first.
Thank you. So we have Alderman Spears proposing and Councillor McNeill seconded. And happy to accept? Yep. Yeah. Okay, so if we move on now to agenda item 3.4, which is an information item. You have the documents in your minute pad. Are there any questions? Councillor Tinsley.
Thank you, Chair. And I know it's for noting. However, when you read the appendix, the work that's going across all age groups, all demographic areas, it would be remiss not to make comment of all the work, the fantastic work that's going on. I may be a little bit biased because part of the ski centre falls into my area. It mostly falls into the Lurgan area, but that's irrelevant. Tony and the team do a fantastic work down there. They really do. And they're always thinking of new ways of bringing in inclusivity across the area, whether it's families, children with learning difficulties, disabilities. It's brilliant. And I don't want to just single out one area, but I just have to commend Tony and the team for everything they do down there. Just one comment going forward, Chair, and I'm not looking a response to it tonight, but I was looking about the MUGA programme, and I'm just wondering, could we include Bleary and also the Killigamane area? I know we've used those in the past. I don't know maybe why they've been dropped off. There may be a reason in terms of funding, but if I could just ask Jonathan if you could take that back and just see, could we get that included again going forward? And as again, going back to the officers, I hope they read the minutes of this and see how proud we are of all the work that they're doing. Thank you.
So sorry, there's just a wee technical issue going on in the background. So sorry, I know. I know. Thanks so much for your comments, Councillor Tinsley, and I absolutely agree with you. There's a lot of content in that report. Councillor Flaherty online.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Again, more of a comment. I actually don't know where to start on this because as Councillor Tinsley said, the list, it's so useful for us to actually have this report come through because it can be so easily missed actually by some of us what actually all goes on, because sometimes we do sort of maybe concentrate on what goes on in our own area. But like, I hope the staff know how important some of this work is. Even, with the young girls there's a great project there. I remember seeing it even in first hand when I was Lord Mayor, and that's a long time ago. But what isn't said in this report is the other work that goes on by the sports development team in the background here. And it would be utterly remiss of me not to have it noted on the record, the thanks to Gillian and Laura and Claire for the absolute stops that they pulled out over the last 2 weekends in Bleary. I can't tell you girls how thankful and proud I am of you for what you have done in the spirit, the true spirit of being inclusive to everybody in our borough. And I know even the weekend before in Armagh, those ladies brought the very first inclusive toilet unit to Armagh. I cannot tell you, folks, what these girls did in the background. They were determined that was going to that event. I'm so proud of you all, what you do, and Colleen and Ryan, and the disability award that just won there in South Lakes. I was at that event, and it just was amazing to see. Thank you ever so much, and please pass that on to your team.
Thank you, Councillor Flaherty. Councillor McNeill.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. It's regards to the MUGA pitches here and the different venues that are being used here. We have a MUGA pitch out at Scott Street, and I don't see it on the list here is because that it's not up to scratch for it. I am waiting to hear that the answer to that is a yes. And I have requested on numerous times for that pitch to work to be done on that pitch to bring it up to scratch. I know that it does need work done on it, and can I ask for that work to be started and completed? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McNeill. Jonathan.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm certainly happy to note members' comments, particularly in relation to Councillor McNeill's comments around Scott Street. I look into that. I know we are looking at a programme of replacements of the surfaces to MUGAs, so I'll certainly look into that one and get back to the member appropriately. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jonathan. Do you want back in, Councillor McNeill? Okay, thank you. So Alderman Spears.
Madam Chair, thank you. And again, I'd like to say thanks to the team, Sports Development, for bringing this forward. I personally feel, and I'm asking a question rather than, is this been rolled, or is the opportunities for better synergy with our community centres across the area to I know we have had conversations in the past about some community centres maybe focusing better on more activity than others. And I'm just saying, is there an opportunity for this to be joined up in some way? Members have referred to it being in Scott Street and Craigavon and various places. I have no issue with that, but I feel that if we have underperforming leisure centres or community centres that are there, and we say underperforming in terms of income and whatever, is there opportunities here to have some synergy between the sports development people and communities and whatever to take us forward in the wider sense? Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Spears. I think Seamus, you going to take this?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just in relation to the comments raised in regarding the community centres and community development and health and recreation, there will be transformation programmes coming forward in terms of how both departments will be working together. And there is work ongoing that has been discussed with members, and there will actually be further updates over the next coming months back to members. And that's, we'll pick up the detail of that. So thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Spears, and thank you, Seamus. But we're happy to note. Oh, sorry, Alderman Barr online.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you very much for the report. I think Alderman Spears almost took my thunder there, that almost everything that I had written down kind of thing. It was just, I think, a fantastic way to move forward in terms of what exactly we are doing for the local communities within our leisure centres or community centres. Because I know, Gillian, I'd forwarded you on several emails last year about what was going on in certain locations and what wasn't going on. And whilst not everywhere has the opportunity to have a mugga, there are other opportunities, for example, tennis courts and stuff like that, that can be developed into sort of mugga type events that just are running there within the sports development report. But maybe going forward that we can sort of link yourselves in between the community centres, sports development, and it doesn't even have to, you know, you have leisure centres there as well within the larger towns, to be able to link in. And I think it would be a fantastic way to go forward so that you know, there is more happening on the ground for our local people. And well done, because last year the opportunity to go with the young females over in Drumore, it was fantastic to see so many young females getting involved in sport, and hopefully that they can progress that and take that forward. And obviously with women's football and whatnot, that was quite synonymous there last year, and even with rugby going forward. You know, thank you very much, and keep up the good work. But it would be good to see a bit more sort of connectivity between the departments. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderman Barr. I think that's, you know, it is another good news story, another good report to come through this committee. But we're all happy to note. Okay, so move on now. Agenda item 4 is correspondence, and there has been no correspondence. So move on now. So if I could have a proposer and seconder to go into committee for consideration of the confidential items. So we have Councillor McAlinden and Alderman Spears proposed and second. So members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, exempt information, we will now be moving into a confidential session of the Council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. So can I ask ICT officers to please turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential section of the meeting can proceed? session. Thank you. And so agenda item 8, any other relevant business? And there is no other relevant business that has been forwarded to me. See, Councillor McNeil, your light is on. Thank you. So that is all our business concluded for this evening. And safe home, everyone here. Take care on the roads tonight. Thank you. Bye.